How's it going? Welcome to my video. Okay, so the topic of this video is limp mode, what it is, why it occurs, and how you can fix it. So basically, modern cars have a computer that pretty much works to maintain your vehicle within a certain specification with all the sensors that make it drive the way it's supposed to drive. All right. Basically, this situation occurs for the most part out of the blue. Okay. So if you think about it, a lot of these situations would occur when you're driving normally, and then out of nowhere, your car's transmission starts acting kind of funny. The check engine light might come on. In most cases, it probably will come on. And normally that comes on to tell you that there's an issue somewhere with your car. At the same time, if this occurs and it goes into limp mode, your transmission pretty much automatically would shift into second or third gear and pretty much stay there. So in those situations, you can pretty much just drive a certain speed. All right. And when it's limited to that one gear, it's pretty much going around 30 or 45 miles per hour max that you can go when it's on limp mode, if you even get that. So basically, if this situation occurs, you're either thinking that there's a serious situation with your transmission, but you thinking that, chances are there is a situation going on with your car that is serious enough that the car's computer would put your vehicle into that mode. So basically, the questions that come up is, how serious is that issue? So let's just talk about limp mode. So basically, every modern vehicle has a computer that pretty much maintains the car as far as it operating in a certain parameter. All right, and this pretty much includes the transmission line, pressure, shift timing, sequence, etc., etc. The car's speed sensor pretty much provides information to help control the ABS, the fuel mixture, the fuel injection, and the operation of the transmission. The mass airflow sensor and throttle position sensor provide the computer's the engine's load information, which is essentially used to manage the shift and downshifting in your transmission when you're driving up an incline or when you have your foot on the accelerator. So limp modes are pretty much fail code conditions. So normally that occurs when there's a problem with some part of your sensor giving information to your car's computer saying that the parameters are off. So when the signal value, which is pretty much the information that's sent by the sensor to your computer, is not, when it goes off the pre-programmed range, and this range is pretty much specified by the car, by whatever parameters that's specified by the car company, it will switch to secondary programming. And these procedures are designed to protect, essentially it's designed to protect the transmission from damage that could be caused by issues with different components of the car. So as long as the computer is receiving signals from the mass airflow sensor, the throttle position sensor, vehicle speed, and other sensors. As long as these sensors are giving information to your car's computer that it's in the normal range based on whatever condition that your car is driving at, the transmission will operate as it normally would. However, if it receives information that is outside of that range, it will switch to a secondary emergency operation, which is essentially limp mode. So basically what happens in limp mode is the car's computer is programmed by the manufacturer, and that actually depends on the parameters at which the manufacturer of the car programs on how to behave depending on what that range is. And it might, the seriousness of the computer pretty much shutting down the car to or putting it in safe mode depends on how off the information is that the sensors are sending to the car's computer. So basically, if the range of the information isn't that much off from to indicate that there is a mechanical failure with some component of the car, the first thing that your car will do is it will flash the check engine light. And that check engine light is pretty much to tell you to have the car checked out. And normally these are considered soft code, especially if the check engine light is not flashing. Normally soft codes, or if you just have a check engine light without any issues with how the car is driving, normally it indicates that there is a low priority sensor that is having issues on for whatever component that sensor is connected to. Now basically, if that light goes away, it could mean that the sensor only felt once, lost connection, etc., etc. It's not really a serious situation. However, if this situation does occur where you only get a check engine light and no limp mode, and you don't get it checked out, it could lead to bigger issues in the long run if you don't fix that issue, obviously. Now, if the information from the sensor is on a component that is integral to the working of the car, and the range of information that it sends out to the car's computer is outside the acceptable ranges, what it does is, instead of flashing the check engine light, it will put the car into safe mode, limp mode. And normally this would be a hard code. In these situations, you would get a not only a check engine light, but the check engine light would be flashing, and the car will be literally limping along. It can only go so fast, and regardless of how how much you press the accelerator, it's not going to go above that speed. All right, and normally that happens because the computer shuts off the electronic shift solenoid that is located inside the transmission, the electronic part of the transmission. This pretty much disables the transmission's ability to shift gears and causes it to default to maybe like a single gear, usually second or third. In addition to this, the pressure in the transmission fluid line is set to high in order to protect the bands and clutches of the transmission being damaged. The signals that control the line pressure are set to full on to prevent the clutch pack from slipping dangerously. essentially, what it does is the computer just essentially shuts down um, the transmission to a mode that would damage the transmission least if an issue occurs with any of the sensors reading that there is a mechanical issue, or readings that would maybe uh, uh, indicate that there might be an issue. So, for example, here's one example that could cause the transmission to go into limp mode is if the cable harness going to transmission is damaged or may be separated from the shifter. In this case, the computer would sense that it's lost connection with the transmission, um, and since it's detached, it would put the car into limp mode, and it pretty much would cut off power to the solenoids. The line pressure would be set to high, and the transmission would be stuck in second or third gear. And that's pretty much an example of what happens in these situations. So basically, that would be limp mode. But here's how the computer determines that a sensor is having issues. For example, the throttle position sensor, the computer might receive a signal from the throttle position sensor saying that the pedal is to the floor when the throttle is actually closed. It would spot this error, obviously, when it compares the status of the vehicle speed sensor, which would be signaling low or no speed. As soon as it sees the conflicting of information, the computer will command the transmission to go into limp mode, and obviously your check engine light will be on, but essentially it might be blinking. So basically, in this situation, there would be a code generated by the computer, and normally a scanner would pick something like this up. So let's go to what you should do in this situation if this situation were to occur. So if your transmission is in limp mode, your transmission might have a problem, and you should definitely get it fixed as soon as possible. In this situation, it's a serious situation, but you should not panic, because this mode, limp mode, is specifically it exists to limit further damage to your car. So if it's possible, and for the most part it is possible, it's still drivable, but it's drivable as far as it'll go only up to a certain speed, sometimes as high as 30 miles per hour, but a lot of times really a lot lower than that. You should actually drive it to you can, if you want, drive it to a service center, drive it to the house. You could actually drive it back to get it, drive it to wherever you need to drive it to get it fixed. But however, you know, outside of that, you probably should not be driving it on a normal basis with limp mode, because it can cause further damage to your vehicle. So basically, if you get into this situation where you have to figure out what the problem is as far as the limp mode, what would cause the car to get into limp mode, the most important thing, the most obvious thing is, if you have an OBD2 reader, it will generate codes. All right, codes for the most part will be generated. That's why the check engine light is there, and it would be hard codes. So basically, if you have an OBD2 reader, you should be able to just pop the OBD2 reader into the car's computer, the socket, and then it'll read out the codes. And that's probably the obvious ways that you can figure out what would be causing the limp mode. And that's, for the most part, that is the easiest way to figure that out. But if you guys are in this situation, just know that while it is it is serious enough for your computer to put your car into that mode, it's still drivable to a certain extent. All right, guys. So I hope this has helped you guys out with your with any questions you guys have with the limp mode issues that you guys have with your car. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. If you guys have any comments about this, please leave a comment in the comment section. All right, guys. Take care.